Good evening, my friend. Tonight, as the world outside grows quiet and the lights of the city flicker like distant stars, I want to take you on a journey into the heart of one of the most powerful questions in business and in life. Why do some companies remain merely good, while others break free and become truly great? If you find this summary helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Booksnap, and comment below the title of the book you'd like us to summarize next. We'll make it happen soon. Now imagine you're standing on a high mountain ridge, the wind cool against your face, looking out over a wide valley of businesses, each one like a campfire glowing faintly in the dusk. Some of these fires sputter and fade, consumed by their own smoke. Others burn steadily, never growing beyond a small circle of light. And then, in the distance, you see something else, a roaring blaze, an inferno of brilliance that lights up the sky and draws people in from miles away. These are the companies that Jim Collins calls great. But here is the haunting truth. Most companies never make that leap. They stay stuck in the comfort of good enough. They survive, yes, but they never become extraordinary. The question that pulls you deeper into the valley is this: what separates those few who break through from the many who settle? As you begin walking down the path, you realize this isn't just a question about corporations or balance sheets. It's about you. It's about anyone who has ever dreamed of more than surviving, more than mediocrity, more than drifting through life on autopilot. The difference between good and great is not luck, not timing, not being in the right place at the right moment. It's something else, something hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered. The journey feels less like reading a business manual and more like uncovering the secret architecture of transformation. Collins doesn't deal in quick fixes or one-size-fits-all formulas. Instead, he invites you to walk alongside him as he and his team of researchers spend years sifting through data, analyzing companies that had been merely average for decades before suddenly vaulting into greatness and sustaining it. You pass through their research halls in your imagination. Thousands of pages of interviews, decades of stock market performance charts spread across tables, names of companies rising and falling like waves. Out of all the corporations in America, only 11 made the leap from good to great and stayed there for at least 15 years, outperforming the stock market by leaps that seemed almost impossible. Companies like Walgreens, Kimberly-Clark, and Wells Fargo, not flashy startups, not industry darlings, but steady organizations that learned to do something most could not: build greatness that endures. As you take this all in, you begin to feel the magnitude of the question. Greatness is not a matter of chance. It is not a gift given to the lucky few. It is a matter of discipline, clarity, and choices. Choices made by leaders, teams, and cultures. The air on the mountain grows thinner, sharper. The fires in the valley seem more distant now, and your steps take you toward the roaring blaze of a great company. You wonder, what is their secret fuel? What kind of leaders tend flames that never die? What decisions did they make that others ignored? The journey ahead promises answers, not in the form of abstract theories, but in vivid stories of transformation. Stories of leaders who were not larger-than-life celebrities but quiet, unassuming people who cared more about the mission than their own glory. Stories of companies that stopped chasing everything and instead asked one simple question: what can we do better than anyone else in the world? As you descend deeper, the night grows darker. The fires below stand out even more brightly against the shadows, like stars guiding sailors across ancient seas. And in that contrast, you begin to sense the first truth. The enemy of great is not failure, but good. The comfort of adequacy is the greatest trap of all. And so, with that realization burning in your chest, you step closer toward the firelight of greatness, ready to uncover the first principle that separates those who merely endure from those who inspire the world. You enter the firelit circle, and at its heart you find not a towering hero, Not a commanding general, but a figure who surprises you. The first lesson on this journey is about leadership. Not the kind that roars from a podium or demands loyalty by force, but something quieter, steadier, almost invisible. Jim Collins calls it level 5 leadership, and it feels less like the image of a warrior king and more like the steady hands of a gardener who cultivates life patiently, season after season. You notice this leader doesn't stand on a pedestal. He doesn't demand attention. Instead, he kneels among the people, sleeves rolled up, doing the work no one else notices. At first, you almost walk past him, mistaking his humility for weakness. But then you realize everyone around him listens closely. They lean in, not because he shouts, but because he whispers with conviction. This leader's power comes not from charisma, but from character. He is modest, sometimes almost shy, but behind his calm eyes is a will of iron. He is not chasing fame, not seeking the headlines or the glory. He is building something that will last long after his name is forgotten. And in that paradox, humility paired with relentless determination, you see the foundation of greatness. Collins describes how, in their research, the companies that went from good to great were led by this rare breed of leaders. They were not the celebrity CEOs with magazine covers and lavish lifestyles. They were often quiet, reserved, and sometimes awkward. But they were fierce when it came to protecting the mission. They carried a blend of professional will, the absolute resolve to do whatever it takes to make the company succeed, and personal humility, the refusal to make it about themselves. You imagine being part of such a company. Instead of being driven by the ego of a single man at the top, you feel pulled into a collective mission. You notice how the leader credits others when things go well, pointing outward, but when failure arrives, he turns the mirror inward, taking the blame himself. This creates a culture of trust, a sense that you are not pawns in someone else's quest for fame but partners in something larger. The path before you splits into 2 roads, each marked with an image. On the left, a marble statue of a leader towering above the people, pointing toward the horizon, expecting everyone else to follow. On the right, a simple wooden stool, empty, surrounded by footprints in the dirt where people have gathered in a circle. You realize the great leaders Collins studied chose the stool, not the statue. They understood that their job was not to be the genius at the center, but the architect of a system that could thrive without them. The wind stirs again, carrying echoes of voices. The voices of executives who once believed that brilliance alone could transform a company. "We just need a visionary," they had said, "a larger-than-life figure to inspire us." But their fires burned out quickly, leaving ashes and empty headquarters. The contrast is sharp, and it leaves you unsettled. You pause, thinking of your own life. How often do we assume that greatness requires charisma? That only those who shine the brightest can lead others into the future? Yet here, in this circle of firelight, you see that the greatest leaders are not always the loudest. They are the ones who channel ambition outward, not inward. They dream not of being remembered, but of building something that will outlive them. One of these leaders speaks softly. "Greatness," he says, "is not about you. It's about the cause you serve, the people you empower, and the standards you refuse to lower." His words are simple, but they cut deep, reshaping your idea of what it means to lead. The night is quiet again. The fire before you flares brighter, as if responding to the weight of the lesson. And now you understand, to step onto the path of greatness, you must first let go of ego, pride, and the need for applause. Only then can you stand firm as a level 5 leader, carrying both humility and resolve like twin torches that light the way forward. The air grows heavier as you approach the next fire. Its flames don't dance brightly like the others. They flicker low, casting long shadows across jagged stones. You feel a weight pressing against your chest, as though the very air is thicker here. And then you realize why. This place is about truth, the kind of truth most people spend their whole lives running from. This is the third lesson on your path. To become great, you must first confront the brutal facts. You step closer and see a circle of men and women gathered around the dim fire. Their faces are serious, their voices low but steady. No one is pretending. No one is covering up. They are speaking openly about failure, about mistakes, about the hard realities that others might bury beneath false optimism. It feels uncomfortable at first, like standing in a cold wind without a coat. But then you notice something remarkable. Instead of crumbling under the weight of honesty, these people grow taller, stronger, more resilient. Their eyes are not downcast but alert, searching for what can be done next. Collins tells of companies that ignored reality. You picture a grand ship, painted bright and gilded, sailing proudly across a stormy sea. The captain insists the skies are clear, even as waves slam against the hull. The crew knows otherwise, but they are afraid to speak. The ship sails on, until it sinks. That is what happens when leaders deny the truth, when they silence those who bring bad news. And yet, across the valley, another ship faces the same storm. The captain gathers the crew, listens to their fears, studies the waves, and says, "We may not control the sea, but we will not lie to ourselves about it." With every fact acknowledged, the crew adjusts the sails, shifts the weight, and braces for impact. They are not blind. They are ready. And because of that, they survive where others drown. As you watch these scenes unfold in your mind, you sense the parallel in your own life. How often do we look away from the difficult truths? How often do we hide behind comforting illusions, hoping the storm will pass without tearing us apart? Yet greatness, whether in business or in life, demands a brutal honesty. Not the cruelty of despair, but the courage to face the world as it really is. You notice something else around the fire. When one person speaks of a mistake, the others do not rush to blame. They lean in, nodding, asking questions, seeking clarity. The room is not heavy with shame but charged with determination. Truth becomes the spark that ignites progress. One leader looks at you and says, "You must keep faith that you will prevail in the end, while also confronting the most brutal facts of your current reality." The words ring in your mind like a bell, a paradox, yet it feels right. Faith without facts is delusion. Facts without faith are despair. But together, they form the steel that holds greatness in place. The fire burns brighter now. The shadows retreat, and in their place you see a path continuing onward. The next lesson waits, shimmering like a riddle carved in the night. If you cannot go in every direction at once, how do you decide which single path to take? The answer lies not in chasing everything, but in discovering the one thing you are born to master. The night air sharpens as you follow the glow of the next fire, and this one is different still. It doesn't crackle wildly or roar with power. Instead, it burns in a steady circle, like a calm beacon in the darkness. Around it, you notice something carved into the earth. 3 intersecting circles, each overlapping the other, forming a simple, powerful shape. This is the place where you encounter the Hedgehog Concept. At first glance, the name sounds almost playful, even strange. A hedgehog? You imagine the little creature, small and unassuming, facing a cunning fox. The fox is clever, always coming up with new tricks and strategies to outwit the hedgehog. It tries to leap, sneak, and pounce from every angle. But the hedgehog knows one thing, and it knows it perfectly. Whenever danger comes, it curls into a ball of sharp, unbreakable spines. Simple, consistent, effective. No matter how clever the fox, the hedgehog wins by staying true to its one great defense. Great companies, you realize, are like that hedgehog. They do not scatter their energy chasing every possibility, every new market, every shiny trend. Instead, They ask themselves three piercing questions, the very circles you see glowing before you in the firelight. In the first circle is a question written in sparks. What can you be the best in the world at? Not what you want to be the best at, not what others expect you to be, but what you can uniquely master, better than anyone else. You feel the gravity of this question. It is not about being good at many things. It is about discovering your true edge, that one sharp spine, like the hedgehog. In the second circle, another question flickers. What drives your economic engine? The companies that leapt from good to great understood exactly where their profit per X came from. Was it profit per customer, per store, per product? They didn't guess. They identified the one denominator that mattered most, and they built their strategy around it. You see numbers swirling in the fire, ratios, revenues, margins, until they coalesce into a single clear point, a heartbeat of sustainable growth. And in the third circle, words glow like embers. What are you deeply passionate about? Without this, greatness is hollow. The companies that made the leap weren't just chasing money. They were fueled by a genuine love for what they did. You imagine walking into a workplace where people's eyes light up, not because of bonuses or slogans, but because they believe in the work itself. That passion, combined with discipline and the right people, becomes unstoppable. Where these three circles overlap, best at economic engine and passion, lies the Hedgehog Concept. It is shockingly simple, yet few discover it. Why? Because the world loves foxes. The fox is clever, fast, always adapting. But cleverness without clarity scatters energy in too many directions. The hedgehog, with its one sharp truth, wins in the long run. As you stare into the circles, you ask yourself, what is my hedgehog concept? What is the one thing I could do better than anyone else in the world? The thing that would sustain me? The thing I would never tire of? The fire seems to lean forward, whispering that greatness is not about being more complex, but about being more clear. The bus you saw earlier now reappears in your mind. It has found its direction, not by chasing every road at once, but by aligning itself with the one path that fits its people, its passion, and its engine for growth. And once it found that path, every turn of the wheel pushed it farther, faster, more surely toward greatness. You take a step back from the three circles glowing in the dirt. The fire has grown taller, warmer, steadier. The simplicity of the hedgehog concept is disarming, even humbling. But as you prepare to move on, you sense the next fire waiting in the distance, pulsing with a rhythm of steady footsteps. It calls you to witness how discipline, not chaos, not luck, shapes the very culture that makes greatness endure. Endure. You step into the next circle of fire, and at once the flames narrow into clean vertical lines, not wild or chaotic, but ordered like pillars. The air here feels different, firm, almost architectural, as though you've walked into a cathedral made of fire. This is the place where you encounter the fourth principle, a culture of discipline. At first, the word discipline might make you think of rigidity, of rules carved in stone, of lives stripped of joy. But as you listen to the hum within these fiery columns, you realize that the discipline Collins speaks of is not suffocating, it is liberating. It is not a cage, it is a framework. Like the strings on a violin, it is tension that creates music. You see a company without discipline, and it looks like a city with no walls. Streets twist into chaos, merchants shout over each other, and no one knows which direction to go. Leaders announce a new initiative one month, then abandon it the next. People run in circles, chasing trends, burning themselves out, yet achieving little. The fire around this city flickers weakly, ready to vanish. Then the flames shift again, and another vision forms. You see a disciplined company. Here, people move with purpose, They are not forced by fear or micromanagement. They act with clarity because they understand the mission and believe in it. Everyone knows their place on the bus, everyone knows what the Hedgehog Concept is, and they make decisions that align with it. The atmosphere is calm, focused, almost serene, but beneath that serenity, there is an unstoppable energy, like a river flowing through stone. Collins describes how great companies don't need rules for everything because they hire people who are self-disciplined. The right people don't need to be tightly controlled. They control themselves. They hold themselves accountable to a higher standard, not because someone is watching, but because they refuse to let the team down. As you walk deeper into the fiery hall, you notice that the pillars around you are not perfectly straight. Some lean, some curve, some bend with the wind, yet they hold the roof steady. This too is part of the lesson. Discipline is not about being rigid. It is about consistency and principle, flexibility and method. You stick to what you know you can be the best at, but you are creative in how you pursue it. You think back on your own life. How many times have you started something with passion, only to let it fade because there was no structure to sustain it? Greatness, you now see, is not built on sudden bursts of inspiration. It is built on habits, on discipline, on the daily turning of the wheel. In the corner of the fiery hall, you notice the quiet leader from before, the level 5 leader. He is not barking orders. Instead, he's sitting with his team, working alongside them. He doesn't control their every move. He trusts them, and they repay that trust with discipline. This is not a culture of fear, but of responsibility. Everyone is free to act, free to innovate, but only within the boundaries of the mission. And those boundaries are what make the fire burn steady, never wasting its energy in 1,000 directions. As you leave the hall of fire pillars, you feel a strange calm. Discipline is not chains. It is the backbone that allows greatness to stand. Ahead, you see another fire, but this one doesn't flicker at all. It spins, slowly at first, then faster, like a massive wheel gathering momentum. You realize your next step will reveal the secret of how good companies, and perhaps even lives, break free into unstoppable greatness. The next fire does not dance or crackle as the others did. Instead, it turns in a slow, deliberate circle, like an immense stone wheel being pushed by unseen hands. At first, it barely moves, groaning against the ground as though its weight is too much to bear. This is the flywheel effect, and as you step closer, you can feel its rhythm reverberating through your chest. Imagine placing your hands on that wheel. It is massive, towering over you, so heavy that your first push hardly shifts it. You press again. It moves a fraction more. Your muscles ache. It feels pointless, as if the wheel is too large to ever truly spin. And yet, you push again, and again. And slowly, the wheel responds. Each turn becomes a little easier, a little smoother. What once was motionless now begins to build its own momentum. Collins and his research team discovered that companies who made the leap to greatness didn't do it in one giant leap. They didn't suddenly announce a grand vision and catapult to success. Instead, they kept pushing the flywheel. Small, steady actions. Disciplined decisions that aligned with their hedgehog concept. Hiring one more right person. Saying no to one more distraction. Improving one more process. The wheel turns, and with each rotation, it gains speed. The remarkable thing is that there is no single defining moment, no dramatic announcement of, "Now we are great." Outsiders often look back and believe it was a breakthrough, a sudden surge, a lucky strike. But from inside the company, it never felt like a single event. It felt like pushing, pushing, pushing. Until one day, the momentum was unstoppable. The wheel spun on its own, carrying the company forward with an energy that seemed almost magical. You can see it clearly now. A flywheel taller than a mountain, made of fire and stone, its edges glowing brighter with each push. At first it seemed immovable, but now it hums with energy, and when you step back, you realize it no longer needs your hands. It is moving with a force all its own. Then the vision shifts, and you see a different scene. Another company stands before its own wheel. Instead of pushing steadily in one direction, the leaders run to one side, shove once, then abandon it. They chase a new idea, a new trend, a new promise. They push here, then there, then somewhere else. The wheel never builds momentum. It rocks forward, then backward, then stands still again. The people on the bus grow weary. Their energy drains away, not from the effort, but from the lack of progress. This is the doom loop, and its shadows wait for those who cannot stay the course. As you watch both wheels, one spinning with unstoppable force, the other lurching in frustration, you feel the lessons sink deeper. Greatness is not a miracle. It is not a moment. It is momentum. 1,000 small pushes in the same direction, guided by discipline and clarity, until the world itself cannot stop your movement. You think about your own life, your own goals, the projects you've started and abandoned. How many times did you push once or twice, saw no immediate progress, and gave up? What if the difference between staying good and becoming great is not talent, not luck, but simply the willingness to keep pushing until the flywheel turns? The fire wheel spins faster now, glowing so brightly it illuminates the valley below. You feel its pull, the hum of progress, the steady rhythm of greatness unfolding. But in the corner of your eye, you notice another fire, one that burns unsteadily, sputtering with sudden bursts, and then collapsing back into smoke. It seems to pulse in sharp, erratic beats, like a heart that cannot find its rhythm. That is the next lesson waiting for you. The warning of the doom loop, the trap that swallows so many who crave greatness but cannot bear the discipline of steady momentum. The firelight shifts into something sharper, colder, like beams of metal and glass catching the moon. You step forward, and now the flames reshape into the outline of gears interlocking, wires humming, and glowing circuits snaking across the ground like veins of light. You have reached the lesson of technology as an accelerator, not a driver. At first, the scene dazzles you. Great machines rise up, taller than towers, shining with brilliance. Screens flicker with data. Networks spread outward like spiderwebs of light across the valley, connecting one fire to another. It feels as though technology itself is alive, humming with unstoppable power. And yet, as you watch, something becomes clear. These machines do not move on their own. They wait, silent and heavy, until the spinning flywheel comes near. Only then, when its momentum brushes against them, do they roar to life, amplifying the motion that was already underway. Collins and his team found that great companies did not begin with technology. They didn't say, "Let's buy the latest tool and it will make us great." Instead, they used technology selectively, like a lever to magnify the power of the Hedgehog Concept. Technology was never the reason for greatness. It was the accelerator of greatness already in motion. You see a cautionary tale in the glowing vision before you. Some companies threw themselves at every new invention, every new platform, every new promise. They built elaborate machines, spent fortunes on systems, and announced to the world that the future had arrived. But because their flywheel was not moving, because they had not yet built discipline, the machine sat idle, shining brightly, but going nowhere. When the world changed again, as it always does, these companies collapsed under the weight of their own glittering toys. Then you witness the other kind of company. Its leaders stand calmly before a new tool, not rushing to adopt it, not swept up by excitement. They ask, will this technology accelerate our hedgehog concept? Will it help us do what we can be best in the world at, fuel our economic engine, and feed our passion? If the answer is yes, they embrace it fully, And suddenly the flywheel spins faster, smoother, stronger. If the answer is no, they let the tool pass them by, no matter how dazzling it seems. The flames flicker into the image of a golden compass, its needle pointing not north, but toward the overlapping circles of the Hedgehog Concept. Technology, you realize, is not the compass. It is the wind in the sails once you know where you're going. Without direction, the wind can scatter you anywhere. With direction, it can carry you faster than you ever imagined. You pause, considering your own life. How often do you chase the newest tools, the latest gadgets, the shiny distractions, believing they will deliver greatness on their own? But if your wheel is not moving, if your purpose is unclear, no tool can save you. The fire whispers its truth. Start with people. Face the facts. Find your hedgehog concept. Build discipline. Only then will technology serve you, not seduce you. The gears in the fire spin faster, glowing white-hot, until they dissolve into sparks that drift upward into the night. The valley before you is now alive with motion. Some wheels spinning, some stuck, some broken. And in the distance, beyond the machines and the fires, you see the outline of a great clock tower rising against the night sky. Its hands move slowly, steadily, as though measuring not minutes or hours, but centuries. The next lesson awaits there, whispering of endurance, legacy, and the difference between building something for today and building something that lasts beyond your lifetime. The wheel fades into the night, its steady hum still resonating in your chest, when your eyes lift toward the towering silhouette ahead. It is not fire this time, but stone and bronze, rising like an ancient clock tower against the darkened sky. Its face glows faintly with golden light, its hands moving slowly, almost imperceptibly, as though it measures not minutes, but centuries. This is the next truth. Build a clock, don't just tell time. You walk closer, and at the base of the tower you see two figures. One is a man with a commanding presence. He steps forward, points to the stars, and cries out, "Follow me! I know the way. I will tell you where to go." His people gather, dazzled by his confidence. For a while they follow eagerly, and the flame of their camp burns bright. But when the man is gone, their fire flickers, sputters, and finally dies. His vision was never transferred into something lasting. It lived in him alone, and when he vanished, so did the flame. The second figure, in contrast, is quiet, almost hidden in the shadow of the clock tower. He is not pointing to the sky, not demanding applause. Instead, he is carving the gears of the great clock itself. Slowly, methodically, he fits each piece together, ensuring it will turn long after he is gone. When the tower's face finally lights up, it shines for everyone, not because of him, but because of the system he built. His people gather, not around him, but around the timepiece that now guides them all. Collins explains that great companies do not depend on a single genius or a single moment of inspiration. They create organizations that can endure, like a clock that keeps ticking, telling time long after its maker has left the world. Charismatic leaders can inspire people for a season, but their fire often burns out when the leader departs. Enduring greatness comes when a company builds an engine, a culture, and a purpose so clear that it can outlast any one person. You feel the weight of this truth press upon you as you watch the tower's hands move with steady precision. The seconds pass, not rushed, not forced, but consistent. And you realize, in your own life too, greatness is not about a single speech, a single victory, or a single spark of brilliance. It is about building a system, habits, disciplines, values, that keep ticking long after the initial excitement fades. You imagine your own clock. Each gear is a choice you've made. The people you surround yourself with, the truths you've dared to face, the one thing you've chosen to pursue with all your heart. At first, the clock feels fragile, like it could collapse at any moment. But as you continue to add pieces, as you commit to discipline and consistency, the clock begins to keep its own rhythm. It no longer needs you to constantly wind it. It becomes timeless. The quiet leader looks up at the glowing tower, then turns to you. "Anyone can tell time once," he says softly, "but only the great build a clock that tells time forever." His words settle in you like iron, a reminder that the journey you are on is not about a single moment of success. It is about constructing something that will endure, something that will guide others even when you are no longer there to lead. As the tower's great bell tolls midnight, the sound echoes across the valley, deeper than stone, older than memory. The flames that lit your path begin to merge, drawn together by the pulse of something greater. You sense that your journey is nearing its end, but not in the way you expected. The final fire is waiting, vast, steady, and luminous. It is not about leadership, or people, or technology alone. It is about the journey itself, the quiet transformation from good to great, and the timeless truth that lies at the center of it all. The clock tower's chime fades into the night air, each reverberation lingering like a heartbeat in the vast silence. You stand beneath its shadow, gazing up at the great hands that continue their patient sweep across the glowing face. It is then you realize, this final fire, this last lesson, is not about one leader, one company, or even one moment. It is about the journey itself, the long, often unseen path from good to great. You step forward and find yourself in a quiet hall beneath the tower. The walls are carved with the names of those 11 companies, etched like constellations in stone. Their stories rise around you in echoes, years of mediocrity, decades of frustration, followed by a turning point so subtle no one outside noticed at first. Yet here they are, still shining, long after others have faded. The elder voice you have been hearing along the way speaks again. The secret, it whispers, is not brilliance. It is not luck. It is not even the lightning strike of a great idea. The secret is disciplined choice, made day after day, year after year. You look around, and in the flickering glow you see the images of the earlier fires reappear. The quiet leader on his stool, the right people boarding the bus, the crew facing the storm with honesty, the hedgehog curled into its perfect defense, the wheel that spins ever faster, and the great clock keeping time long after its maker is gone. All of them are part of the same story, the same path. Greatness, you understand, is not a single act, but a habit. It is the slow accumulation of right choices, the quiet courage to face the truth, the humility to serve rather than shine, the discipline to stay on course, and the wisdom to use tools not as masters, but as servants. You picture yourself again, standing at the edge of the valley. Behind you lies the land of good enough, comfortable, familiar, safe. Ahead, the fires of greatness burn, steady and strong, lighting the night for all who come after. The choice is simple, though not easy. Do you remain in the comfort of the ordinary, or do you step forward, again and again, pushing the wheel until it spins on its own? The elder's voice lingers as you take your final steps toward the glowing tower. Greatness is not a function of circumstance. It is a matter of conscious choice and discipline. You do not stumble into greatness. You build it, and when you build it right, it lasts. You feel the truth settle within you like stone. The path from good to great is not reserved for a chosen few, nor is it a lightning bolt from the sky. It is a road anyone can walk, if they are willing to gather the right people, face the brutal facts, discover their hedgehog, practice discipline, push the flywheel, and build something that endures. The tower bell tolls once more. The valley of fires fades into mist. You stand in silence, holding the lessons close to your chest, knowing that the journey of greatness is not something you listen to once and forget, It is something you live, step by step, for the rest of your life, for the rest of your life, for the rest of your life.